I'm on my way to the fabrication shop to check out my 1975 C600. If you don't know who I am, my name is Dave Dixon. I live up in Northern California, and I love California. So I ended up, I always wanted to have a crew cab or a cab over Ford. And the reason is when I was maybe 16 years old, the guy that I worked for, Al Langdon, he had a feed store. I had an agricultural driver's license at 16, so I could drive like tractors and things like that. And he thought it'd be okay for me to drive this like 2-ton C600 cab over Ford. And which wasn't a good idea because it was loaded down with feed. I weighed about 140 pounds at the time, and the feed bags were 140 pounds. So they were actually weighed as much as I did. But I did drive it around. I did have a good time, trying to get, it was a 5-speed just like the one I have, and a 2-speed rear end. So that's always tricky to get that thing, driving around, backing it up and everything. But the story about the C600 that I drove as a feed truck, and it was really a turning point for me, is that I remember he used to own a bar, and so he would bag aluminum cans, and then we would take aluminum cans, down to the recycling place. It was quite a bit of money because he owned a bar. So he filled the whole thing up with aluminum cans, or I did. And then my buddy, his name was Adi Lay, he came to visit me, and he just wanted to ride around with me, I guess. And so he jumped in the passenger side. Now when I got in, I looked out both the rear view mirrors on both sides, and it was a super wide truck, geared very, very low. So I put it in reverse, and I started backing up, but it felt like the brakes were on. I checked the brakes, they were fine, and then I just kept accelerating. And as I was accelerating, it was backing up, but I noticed that it seemed like the front end was going down. And so I kept backing up, and I finally got to a point where it was not going to move. It was almost like I was stuck. So even though I hadn't seen anything in the 2 side mirrors, and it had big sideboards on it so you couldn't use the rear view mirror, I went back around to the back of the truck, and I had literally driven up onto a VW Bug. It was one of the people that went to the bar, and he had parked it right behind my tailgate where I couldn't see it. It was right directly behind me. So I had to go inside and talk to Al Langdon, and he made me feel really bad. I mean, obviously maybe I should have got out and checked all the way around the truck to make sure there was nobody parked there, but there was nobody parked there when I went in to grab some aluminum cans. So as I got back into the truck, I was kind of whimpering. I was trying to hold back the tears, and my friend Audi was saying, well, what's wrong, Dave? He goes, oh, well, I said, well, Al Langdon told me I was, that it was dumb. I was dumb. I was stupid for doing that, backing up on it, and it hurt my feelings. I didn't say that in so many words, but I said it did hurt my feelings. And then he started cracking up, and I thought, what are you cracking up for? He just started chuckling. He thought it was so funny, and I said, what are you laughing for? He knew that Al Langdon was this really rough, gruff, guy that owned a bar, and not a very pleasant person. And he said, well, do you want to be like Al Langdon? And I said, no. I thought about it, and I thought, no, I don't want to be like that guy. He's a jerk. He was an asshole, and he was also just really not a nice guy, And I said, no, I don't want to be like Al Langdon. And he goes, well, if you don't want to be like him, why do you care what he says? And I thought, well, that is bizarre. That is true. He goes, you should only listen to people that you want to be like. And so I really thought about it a lot, and over the years, and I've always used that thought, to remember that I refuse to take criticism from people more screwed up than myself. And I can't even tell you how many times I have used that mantra over and over and over, because a lot of times people say, I don't want to be critical, but I want to make some suggestions, and they're all critical. You know, there's no such thing as critiquing somebody and not being critical. And so if it's somebody that I don't look up to, or I don't aspire to be like, or I can't look at them and say that that's a good example, then I just refuse to take criticism from them. And I have done that all my life. So probably a couple years ago, I was able to find a 1975 C600. It actually looked just like the feed truck that I had at one time. And my idea was to put a slant bed on it so that I could load my 89 Batmobile onto it. I had all these ideas. I had it all planned out. And so I ended up finding one. It was actually a truck that had been used on a farm for many, many years in Napa, California, in a winery, a vineyard. And then it went to a guy who sold shelves, industrial type shelves, up here in Sacramento. The only thing he did with it was he had a forklift and he put it on the flatbed, and he would drive it from inside the warehouse, maybe 100 feet to the front of his shop, and he just, to promote his business. It had a sign on the forklift. And so it only went out there in the morning and came back in the evening. And so I thought, well, that's kind of cool. So I could tell that it had about 56,000 verifiable miles. And this is on a 1975 C600. So I ended up buying it from him, and ended up bringing it back to my house, my hometown, and a shop. And then I did end up putting a slant bed on the back of it. And then my ultimate dream would be to replace the axles with 1-ton axles from a Dodge dually, and then probably put a Cummins engine in it with an automatic transmission, because right now it's a 5-speed. But there's nothing really wrong with the setup right now. It's just geared very low. There's no air conditioning, and it is a 5-speed. And a lot of the parts are very expensive. I had to rebuild the brakes, and that was very expensive. So if I could get something more modernized, that's my idea. But as it is right now, it does run. It's at the shop right now because we're supposed to put carburetor on it to make it run a little bit better, and also put on stacks on it, which are like exhaust pipes that go straight up like a semi-truck. So I had already bought the parts to do it, and I'm just waiting for the fabricator to do it. He's been super busy, so he hasn't been able to get on it, but like I told him, I'm not in a rush. And then I want to build a skirt around it so that I can, so that it looks more like the 40-ish type of stuff. So it is being worked on. I am planning on going there now. So my idea is to go out and just start it out. I usually start it up once a month, and I'm hoping that I can set this video up for the inside of it. You might be able to get a chance to see my 75 C600. So thanks for finding me, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I have more to come. I have a lot of ideas. So thank you for stopping by and checking me out. Have a great day.